Take it away, bud.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Gaming Under the Influence. My name is Alex. This is Mike. Today I'm feeling a little bit sweet. I just watched some footage of Sekiro. What is it? Shadows Die Twice? Shadows Die Twice. Okay. Coming out soon.
Coming out the 22nd, is that correct?
I hope so.
Looking forward to that one.
Anyways,
I messed it up, buddy.
it's okay. With that in mind, Mike, why don't you tell us what we're drinking on tonight?
Actually, today we decided to drink a cider before you all. Usually we're drinking beer. Today it's a cider. Cider is fermented apple juice.
That still counts.
Fermented apple juice, for those unfamiliar with this particular style of alcohol. It's a fermented apple juice. These apples are harvested exclusively in Ontario. I believe this cidery, Heritage Estates, they may also make wine. But we're drinking the cider made from the apples grown on their estate.
I can dig it. I can definitely dig it.
They have a batch of land. They grow some apples. They ferment the juice from those apples into the cider. This is a semi-sweet cider. You'll notice that a lot of the sugars from the apples are not fermented off, so you taste, still some of the sweetness. Whereas in super dry ciders, most of the sugar will be, eaten up by the yeast to produce alcohol. It'll be dry. It'll be more like champagne, whereas this tastes closer to apple juice.
Right on.
Yes. Overall, do you enjoy this cider, Alex? It's definitely one of my favorites.
I'd say it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm a beer shill now. What can I say?
You're a beer shill. Touché, sir.
What, Oh, yeah. Sekiro. Sekiro. I'm definitely stoked on Sekiro.
Oh, boy, Sekiro. Where do we
weird.
even start with Sekiro? Man, are you a Souls fan, Alex?
Not necessarily a Souls fan. I mean, I've dabbled in them, but Bloodborne is probably one of my favorite games of all time.
Rocking the Bloodborne, bud.
So whether or not you think that qualifies me as somewhat of a Soulsborne fan,
I'd say Bloodborne is one of the more Soulsy of the Souls games.
Yeah,
I'd say it's the most Soulsy. Yeah, man, definitely my favorite of the Souls games.
Yeah,
undoubtedly.
You too?
Oh, without question, it's definitely the best Souls game.
It's fantastic.
In my opinion. Yeah.
Great game.
Super excited for Sekiro. There was initial apprehension, of course, based on the fact that Activision is publishing the game.
Naturally,
a number of large scale media outlets have gotten their hands on pre-release builds and segments of the games.
Right.
Of the game, and they seem to be enjoying it in a sense that makes me giddy. I'm super excited.
Another
to play
good
Sekiro.
Souls game
idea.
coming
I love
out.
the Souls
Similar-ish.
And the world building in the Souls games is, I think, in my mind, way ahead of its time, in the sense that those guys are super aware of how to employ the interactive entertainment medium, how to use video games to tell a story. It's not like, some games, not to bash this at all, but some games incorporate elements from cinema to tell their stories. They have actual movie elements in their games.
Which is fine. You're
My
just
favorite
not
games
as
have this,
much
don't get me wrong.
a fan of it, yeah.
I'm just saying,
as opposed to
From Software is so keenly aware of how to employ the video game medium in telling of a story. You learn about the world by looking at the bosses, by interacting with objects,
reading descriptions
enemies
and stuff, right?
Yeah, reading descriptions certainly, but just even by walking and looking around, you can infer things about the world. It's not told to you, but you can look at something.
Yeah, you sort of piece it together in your mind, kind of thing.
Altars upon which something was sacrificed, places on the road with blood stains, and fucking the Celestial Choir in Bloodborne, and all of these what you presume are children that were used in experiments, that you end up fighting. And
would you say there's almost its own aura to them, these games?
I think they're excellent. I think they qualify as this concept. We're writing a book. This idea of mythopoesis. This idea of world building and inserting characters into things. Via unsaid subtext and stuff. Using characters in your world more as symbols.
Okay.
Not appealing to the human element, but rather appealing to the universal. And I think that's the shtick in the Souls games. And boy, would I take that over any kind of diatribe about toxic masculinity any day, buddy.
I'm not going to mention which game you're talking about there.
Yeah, I'm not going to mention it.
Oh, no.
Super psyched for Sekiro, though, in the sense. I don't care who's publishing it.
You were right. It does come out on March 22nd, which is pretty soon.
Very soon.
About 10 days away or so.
Wet our teeth. So hopefully what we're going to do, I suppose, is
So,
We're going to spend the next little while polishing off our Devil May Cry experiences.
oh yeah,
Then, this Friday, Division 2 is coming
Division
out.
2,
And
absolutely.
we are going to slam that until the 22nd when Sekiro launches. What do you think of that, those 3 games?
I think,
I know we were planning to do that anyways, right?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's an exciting couple of titles coming up. I mean, with in terms of Sekiro, I gotta say it's the most intriguing of all of them because like from Software, Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, Bloodborne.
Something special, of course, from software.
Who published Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3? Was it from Software? So I
Namco
feel like
Bandai.
I'm a little bit stupid.
I think
on this.
it was
You might be
Namco
right.
Bandai.
Was it Namco
Pretty
Bandai
sure it was.
Namco?
At least
Because
one.
then Bloodborne would have been Sony. Sony published
Demon Souls as well.
right? And Demon Souls. Oh my god, I'm such a moron. I actually had Demon Souls. Like, I
Buddy.
couldn't get through that though.
No?
It was too hard. Like Bloodborne, yeah, okay, I did it,
from the
but
beginning, buddy. Oh
oh
my
my god, I know.
remember the music.
Yeah.
I remember the music from the. Yeah, I
What
remember
I-
working at EB Games at
So-
the time.
Oh,
and
that's
seeing
right.
the posters and promotional material and being like, "What the
But
fuck
that
is
one,
this?"
yeah, exactly.
And
that
it
one
was
came
awesome.
out of it came out of
nowhere.
nowhere.
They didn't market
Nowhere.
it at all, but it killed it, man.
Killed it,
was
right?
Beautiful. It's one of the better ones. I think a lot of the reasons Bloodborne was great was because it
Went
appropriated
back
elements
to-
from that one. Yeah.
Yeah, like went
Like,
back to sort of.
I like Dark Souls 1, don't get me wrong, but people worship that game for inappropriate reasons, in my opinion,
Why is that?
Dark Souls 3 is just a better game in every respect.
Sort of just like a complete refinement of the series at that
respect.
point, right?
Yeah.
Like,
gameplay, the world building, the way the levels connect with each other. I don't know why people have such a boner for like this, like the levels, like there's a ladder going up from one to the other, bro. Like
how was one?
one was
'cause-
good, but like by the end of it, you could tell they were running out of steam. They were reusing
Yeah?
bosses as rudimentary enemies
that's
in the
bullshit.
later levels. Like guys,
Okay,
you
well-
ran out of steam, but. Dark Souls 3, the systems were super refined, excuse me.
Right.
They appropriated many of the better elements from Bloodborne. It was faster, cooler, everything looked beautiful. The engine was more perfect. Like,
Oh,
it was
because
all
3
around a
came
better
out
game.
after Bloodborne?
Yeah, it did.
I feel like I'm
did.
so
3 came
lost
out
on these
after
games,
Bloodborne,
even though
that's
I've,
right, yeah.
I've touched upon
3 came
most
out
of
after
them. But
Bloodborne. I think it was a better game. That's it.
Hold on, going back to Demon Souls, the original, the first one. I know that was level based because I remember going between the things.
It was like Bloodborne.
Like, but Bloodborne was kind of like level based, but it was all still kind of
You
interconnected.
could technically walk from one area to the
Right?
other. The only difference in Demon Souls was that
Like
there
the
was
hub world?
like 5 huge areas, and you could
Oh,
walk
okay.
from the beginning of one bonfire to the end of the last one. But you
And
couldn't
then
walk
the
from
next
rest
world is a
yeah.
separate entity. Okay,
That's
and
right,
there's
yeah.
5 of those, right?
Yeah,
okay.
some number.
I didn't make
3
it
or
very
4,
far.
actually.
I'm a.
It was
pleb.
good though, man. If you like the, but you're gonna go back and you're gonna be like, this is clunky. Like the systems were perfected. What else are you gonna say? The
I've
medium
tried
is iterative,
getting
right?
into it like 2 or 3 times. So
But it's good. It's worth playing.
I haven't yet-
just to see just as one thing I would like to do one day. One thing I would like to present to you, the viewers, is this
I
like
think we should do it. I think we
This,
should play the entirety of Dark Souls.
definitely we
Demon
should do
Souls.
that. But what I would like to do, wouldn't you like to just explore video game world tourism? We should just explore and present the worlds and our favorite games to people, the worlds that we found the most engaging, and that's definitely one of them. Coming to you in the near future. But anyways, Demon Souls
One
is
day
gonna be
when
up
we
there.
eventually decide
Demon
to make
Souls
it.
is a beautiful game. Such thought went into making it, just like the Souls games after it. And
Yeah, you
we
gotta
really
think,
appreciate like From Software and Hidetaki Miyazaki's team, and
That being the first of the Soulsborne entries, like
and it's all there, man. All the ideas are there. Everything. that
It
came
had
afterwards
to have
there.
been,
It's
right?
there,
Because
yeah. It's not like it was revolutionary.
that's
after
the
that.
core.
It
That
is
was
there.
like
Yeah.
the original idea of
They
it all
sped it up,
before.
they tweaked it a bit, but it's
yeah,
there.
before they had any fanfare, right? Like now, okay, in subsequent titles, they had fanfare and people that they were trying to please. But at that point, who the hell were they making that game for? It came out and was incredibly hard right off the start. Most people.
I don't know if you ever heard, but they made a previous titles From Software, King's Field, involving
What-
a lot of
on
the
what
same
console?
concepts we see on PC, I believe. I don't fucking
Because I know they had
I never
earlier
played
titles.
them, but
They
they
did
were
some
like
of the
first
Armored
person,
Core.
Yeah, they did Armored Core.
They
as
did
well.
Armored Core, and they had
great,
a
man.
really old. I think it was a PC or maybe a PS1 game. It was like a really old.
Yeah, Kingsfield. It might have been Kingsfield. It was an RPG, first person. A lot of super hardcore mechanics, kind of like the Souls games.
Yeah.
But Armored Core was awesome, by the way. It's a tangent.
Armored Core was great. I loved
Core
Armored
2
Core.
was one of my favorite games.
Yeah, on the
ever.
PS2, absolutely.
Oh,
I love
buddy,
those
I'm
games.
even gonna start down that road.
Yeah,
but like
we're
Armored Core was awesome.
like just
Remember fighting up that ladder? Remember the rank ladder? You know, you do the story missions, but
Oh,
there's
okay,
also
yeah,
a
yeah.
ladder. You get to the
Right
top
on.
of the ladder of the
Yeah.
ranked cores and stuff, right? And one of them was number 11. He liked being number 11 because
I don't think I even made it that
there was
far.
more ones in the number than there was in number 1. So he
Yeah.
preferred that. He liked the number 1.
Right. Okay.
And there was just all these like little, you know, that's so From Software, man.
Yeah.
Just they turned some nothing thing, which nowadays would be just a meat grinder, like, you know, system, just a heartless system. They
Right.
make it super flavorful, super fun. There's so much soul to it, even back then. Thinking about the games they made, like I see that same
They're
vision
definitely
in their modern titles.
Wonderful. I think that's partly like them being such a fantastic dev is
Yeah.
why we're super stoked on Sekiro. And
Oh,
and
yeah, in
at
spite
this
of the
point, like
Activision factor.
exactly at
What
this
is
point,
that?
like
Who
they
would've
could
thought, eh?
they
It
could
would be-
brutalize and bastardize the game, but I don't think in like the high regard I have for From Software, I don't think they would.
No.
They would agree to make this game with Activision if it was going to compromise it
I
and
feel that
tarnish
way,
their
too.
name,
I
right?
hope I'm not wrong, but it appears we're not. You know, based on
Which
what people
I
have
don't
said
think
about the
so.
game.
I mean,
at the end of the day, it's in Activision's best interest to just have in their portfolio a title that is not compromised by some
right.
some
Just get a
garbage,
good game
some
out
bad
there,
press,
you know,
yeah.
that you can trust from Soft. Whatever it ends up being, I'm sure it'll be competent and well made. Even if, I mean, this game's not going to be in the same RPG vein as
Honestly, I'm happy for that.
right. So no
I could deal
stats.
without that. I could deal with
No
honestly
stats.
in my mind again when we talked about God of War the last week we touched on this, but those elements, whilst they may be enjoyable, they may help you
Don't belong
engineer
in
the
an
character you
action.
like. But whether or not they belong is a different question. But like they're meat, man. They're meat. They're just unnecessary beef.
Okay,
like,
just
I could do
added
without that.
stuff.
I
Yeah.
could do without it. Couldn't you? Like, do you want to just worry about numbers all the time? Remember
I
playing
mean-
God of War 1, Devil May Cry, even the new Devil May Cry.
I definitely can. I definitely can. Yeah.
You sit around all day, like worrying about numbers and statistics on your
No.
gear is not always beneficial to the experience.
No,
Just
I
to
mean,
say, like, it does add
in
a-
essence, we can compare it to, I guess, Devil May Cry or like the original God of War games where
Yeah.
this is your character, this is your tool set. You can upgrade
it,
them
yeah.
over the course of the game with, you know, various other weapon skills, whatever it may be.
It's
but
the removal of RPG mechanics
you're not-
means that you're just relegating all that stuff to the background where players
Yeah.
are not compromising their experience of the game
Yeah.
by worrying about that.
you're not ultimately
Great.
limited
I'm
by
down for
those
that.
numbers. Like
It's nice to sit there and engineer, min-max the system for the optimal experience, but at the end of the day, it's who can argue that that doesn't somehow detract from the desired experience the developer felt for
Yeah,
for
I
you
see
to
what you're saying.
experience, right? Like that's
Would you think like would you feel like RPG like stats and stuff like that would naturally belong more in a JRPG or a turn-based?
yes,
I guess
because
not.
that is the essence
JRPG.
of the game. Like what you do is manipulate the numbers
to
beneficial
manipulate. Yeah.
effect,
Okay.
Now, this is a skill-based system. Why do you want to insert that kind of
Right.
shit into it?
Okay.
right?
I see what you're
Just
saying. So
compromising
the
it.
divide is, like you said, turn-based combat
And
where
skill-based action.
numbers and stats
That
matter.
is the system. That is what it is. That is
and
you are
then
picking
yeah,
a thing that does
skill
a number.
where you can have
input
difficulties
matters.
for someone who is
You know,
more
you
skilled
react,
is better.
You react.
Yeah, you're
That's-
right.
And yeah, why mix those,
Damn,
right?
dude.
It's-
Yeah, that's pretty killer.
You don't need to do that.
You're right.
We're better off without having our.
Maybe you are right.
Again, I will preach the gospel of Souls until the day I
Demon
die.
Souls,
I love those
Dark
games.
Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, Dark Souls 3,
love
and
them all.
Bloodborne.
I literally,
all
like, I love them
with
all.
the skill, the
I love them
RPG
all.
like
but
stats.
wouldn't they be
you
better
said-
without that though? Couldn't you honestly
I
say
mean-
like I don't need that in my Souls? Like,
I can say that, but I don't know if it'll be true.
but how could it be? How could it be false? Like, do you need to worry about that? You know? Do you need to
I
tweak
want
the
to say
systems
no.
and min-max?
I
like,
believe me. I want to say no. Yeah, you're
maybe
right.
That's, that's an argument for balancing. Like maybe they have that so that, you know, based on the balance of the game, people can choose options that make the game this or that way.
But then
But,
how would a regular game like character action game like you were saying without those stats and skills, how do they balance their games? They
Difficulty
just make
settings.
harder, difficulty centers and towards
But do you need
the
to
further
why just go?
I was gonna say
just
the-
go with one thing. That's it.
like the further you get in the game, the enemies get harder and stronger just naturally by their attacks,
Yeah, and
maybe
you
more health,
accumulate,
whatever, and
you know,
and you sort of get the
levels
experience
and, yeah,
and
exactly.
to beat them.
There's higher or
No, I'm
lower
saying in
level
like
zones.
an action game.
Yeah. In that
Without
case, you would
the
have
stats.
difficulty settings.
You'd have
right?
difficulty settings or characters with maybe a little bit more health, but
But even
maybe
in a
they
game
move
like
faster,
the modern
maybe they have
DMC, like
more
what do you
skills,
have?
like-
You know, potentially, like you don't even have to have what you can unlock with red orbs to finish the game. You could, if you're a skilled enough player. you
Yeah,
can-
that's the thing. But
aside
okay.
from some rudimentary
This-
things that cost 3,000 orbs, like you don't need any of that.
I gotta say it. Hold on. This really fucks with me though. I'm
right.
gonna drop it.
Tell me
Only
why.
because you're saying, and I agree with you. In Devil May Cry, you can beat the whole game without spending a single red orb. You have.
And you could do that in Souls. Don't get me
But
wrong.
that's
you
exactly
can.
what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Is that you could do the same thing. You get those guys who do speed runs.
But
no hit
exactly
speed
for
runs.
that reason, like why bother with all that stuff?
And then
why
yeah,
bloat it,
that,
buddy?
I guess
why
that
bloat it?
goes all the way full circle. exactly what you just said. Yeah, why bloat it with that? I don't know. Is that to satisfy Japanese players who like maybe having
I don't know.
stats
No,
and numbers?
I think it's just to add a
we
layer
like that
of depth
too.
to the game, but I feel like it's artificial and we could do without it.
But
you know?
without that, then you wouldn't have a reason to collect souls by killing enemies and stuff, souls or echoes, whatever they call them, right? You know, that's like a main thing too, right? Is you kill the enemies, you get souls, you sort of grind, you farm them, and
Fair
then
enough.
you use them to upgrade. So as opposed to
So
that,
then, but is the argument then that without that there'd be no progression? Of course there would. It's skill based.
It would be-
We said you could do it without it, right? So
Right.
it's artificial progression.
artificial,
It's mapped
yeah.
on. It's like
so
a
you
tumor on
you
the
get
thing,
your
you know?
currency and then you spend it on your
It's,
stats.
I guess, supposed to be a buffer between the skill and the systems. And I understand its existence. Like, not to say that there's anything wrong with it, but slim it down slightly. There must be a way to do it. We don't need all that numbers going on. That's detrimental to the game.
I gotta be honest. I'm super surprised hearing this from you because I know you're a big fan of like JRPG style games and stuff like that, and turn
But
based.
it's a skill-based action game.
But
I definitely love JRPGs.
I guess I see where the
numbers, but like,
yeah.
you need that. I don't know. Like,
I see where the
just
divide
comparing it
is.
to Sekiro, where we're saying that it's not going to be it's not going to be an RPG.
Right.
We're not going to deal with that stuff, and I think that serves that formula better. You don't need to worry about behind-the-scenes things because, in some sense, that takes away from the skill.
Takes away from what you're doing.
Systems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
You
you
know?
as a performing the actions of the fast-paced game that doesn't rely on attacks having
Like, not to say like this is not a universe. You know, in art there's no difference.
Mike on the mic.
In art, there's no science there. You know? We can't say there's a universal or better or worse way to make a game, but like to my preference, like I don't believe that mixing two things is necessarily good. Like you could have a skill-based game, you could have a numbers-based game. They're both equally valid forms of making games. Why impede my progress in the skill-based game with numbers-based considerations? You know,
Right. Okay.
Just
yeah.
to say that if Sekiro doesn't have that, that's probably good for Sekiro. Good for Sekiro.
You know what? I gotta be honest. I wasn't sure how I felt about that whole. Like, I'm still gonna play Sekiro, no doubt about it. But I wasn't sure how I felt about it not being as with, like you said.
Yeah, no RPG.
Now I'm kind of stoked to see how it turns out.
It'll probably be like Bayonetta or Devil May Cry. You'll just
Yeah.
progress based on your skill. What's so wrong with
Yeah,
that?
you're absolutely right.
What's so wrong with that? People need a number to satisfy them based on to tell them that they've progressed.
You know what?
Like,
The most
we don't need that. bud.
messed up thing I feel like too is in like turn-based games when you level up and when you get better stats. I don't want to say you notice it as much, but in specifically like Bloodborne that I played a ton of, it's like
You
leveling
notice
up.
your progression
I
in
don't.
Bloodborne? I don't know.
I don't like the.
I don't know.
Listen, your health bar moves up so incrementally.
Really, you
like,
do it though
small
so
and
that you
tiny.
can equip weapons of a certain kind, right? And it does increase.
Oh,
like,
okay.
You
I see what
definitely
you're
do
saying.
notice, when you
Yes.
get to the higher bracket, like there is a soft cap for all of the skills, so that
But I
suppose you have a
don't
certain
even
weapon
notice
that-
stuff like that.
Yeah, there are behind the scenes ways to min max the system.
Yeah, you're right.
Like,
I
if you wanna have
read-
an
I
easier
read about
time
that.
If you want to have an easier time
Yeah.
in Bloodborne, you equip Ludwig's greatsword. You min max the stats relevant to it, and you just do the most damage you can. But like for example, when I'm up against Orphan of Kos, and mind you, I'm gonna sound like a nub or something in Bloodborne, but I don't care about parrying in those games. I never even bother parrying. I like to
No?
dodge things.
You
I
just
like doing
dodge?
perfect dodges. And it's hard to beat the last boss, the Orphan of Kos there, and I did do it. Just dodging, never parrying.
Just dodging.
And I did, yeah. And you can do it. And like, whether or not you have this or that stat,
Yeah.
the damage I was doing past the point I was at would only be increased by incremental amounts. And that's pretty much the cap. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In spite of all the things I just said, I really think that in Souls, like no matter what level you are, it's an incremental. Like I think again, it's supposed to be like a buffer
progression.
between your skill and the game systems. It's supposed to make it so that your skill is approximated to the systems by the incremental improvement of your damages and your armor and stuff like that, which is
Right.
fair enough. Fair enough, but I don't think it necessarily requires that. I think it might
Yeah,
be better
so it's
served
definitely not
without it.
crucial to the game in any sense that you're saying.
And again, in all the ways we're just talking about, sometimes it doesn't even matter, It doesn't even matter sometimes. You'll be playing the game and whatever your
Yeah,
stats, you're not going to...
It's that weird thing of like
It'll require, instead of 30 hits to kill the boss, at 35.
29. Like okay, the other way.
Yeah, right? Like, if you
Yeah, I feel
can't...
like-
if you can land 30, you can land 35, like, at the end
Yeah,
of the
you
day,
got
right?
the pattern by that
That's
point.
it,
It's
yeah.
all pattern based these games,
Yeah.
as much as
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say like, it's like, I mean, what I thought of it anyway was, when you start the game, let's say you have a standard health meter, whatever it is, and then over the course of like 60 or some absurd amount of hours, like 80 hours, you slowly, gradually level up and get your health bar up. But when you go back and see it, then you'll notice the difference. But over the course of it, it's so incrementally small, you don't notice it going up at all. Not even unless you're
I
like
literally
pixel
never
counting.
leveled my health bar in Bloodborne.
No?
Never.
Really?
Never leveled vitality.
I did a lot. I'm
Probably
less experienced than you in the
Soulsborne
Soulsborne genre.
Because I figure like when you're playing those games, if you can dodge one attack, you can dodge them all.
Dodge
you
a
can't
ball.
dodge
You
one,
can dodge a ball. You can dodge
if
a
you
red.
can't dodge one, you can't dodge any. You're gonna die anyways. Whether you can take 1 or 2 hits to the face, you're gonna drop 20 levels on taking 1 extra hit from the final boss.
Never thought of
I don't know about that, right? Like you just drop it into damage. Be a glass cannon. You can take 1 hit, you die. Okay, fair enough. But if you learn to dodge
So you
one
just
hit,
keep like a small buffer of how which would
maybe
be
you drop
spent.
like 1 or 2
right
at some point.
But then when you
read enough, you read how much a boss does in damage, and you drop like 2 points in to make sure you can take 2 instead of 1 hit. You know. But beyond that, I never drop it into fucking vitality.
Intense.
Never in any of those
really?
games. Never.
What? I'm super.
Before.
You're right.
Because past the point, it's useless, right? Like you literally like, okay, if you're like, I need at this boss,
it just gives
to
you
take enough health to make sure I can take 2 hits. You go, you look how much damage he does,
right,
and then you drop enough points into vitality to make sure you have
so you can take 2 hits.
Take 2 hits, yeah. And put an armor on or whatever, you know?
So that gives you basically 1 hit before you need to heal.
That's what Souls is all about. That's all you have. How many hits? The most hits you're going to have is like 3 on a boss, right? How many times are you going to get hit before dying in a Souls game?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, and then you back
unless
away.
You're like,
or 1, 2,
you're like
back
way
away.
over leveled, and it's not even the point in playing.
Yeah, but can you
like,
even get to
that
point?
You can. I watch guys playing Dark Souls 2 and 1 where they're like fucking, they got vitality out the ass. They take like 15 hits. But then why even play a Souls game?
Yeah.
In my mind. Like,
okay,
the whole point is about patterns. Learning.
I mean,
that's why I thought Bloodborne was such a great game. There's no turtling in Bloodborne. They're like,
it's fast paced.
Play the goddamn game. Don't fucking sit there.
It's fast paced.
It's a
yeah.
rhythm game.
Yeah.
You learn the patterns. You get into it, and you like feel that exhilarating, like super intellectual. Like it's like more than like your reason can comprehend in the sense that you're just doing it. You know, you're like impressing yourself as it goes. Like you don't get that feeling when
it comes like second nature, right?
It's a really good feeling when you dig into that. This like flow state. You're like in the moment. Your actions are moving fast. You're like, whoa, I just did that. Like,
yeah. It's sort of like it's that muscle memory that just sort of happens, and you're almost kind of impressed.
And
with
then you
yourself,
beat that boss,
like, wow.
and it's like, it's like some.
I'm not gonna lie.
The likes of which you haven't seen.
I'm not gonna lie. Out of probably, I gotta say the last like years of my life. I don't even know how many. Maybe like 10. Bloodborne is one of the only games that actually gets the heart like pumping. Whereas you feel as you're progressing through a boss, I don't know if you get this, but like my heart starts racing.
I'll tell you what else gives you that kind of experience, but most of the time you have to pay a lot more for it.
Yeah, right?
It's something. Yeah, when you play those games, you're on the cusp of a boss that sometimes I put down those games, and I'm like, for months, I can't beat a boss. I'm like, this is driving me.
And then you pick it up and you beat it like that, right?
You pick it up and you, like, in a couple of days, you dick around, you're like, okay, I'm getting it back,
and then boom.
And then you beat it.
Like, first try.
You throw your hands up, you're fucking celebrating.
What is that?
It is a good feeling.
Yeah.
It is something.
Those games, you're right,
It just speaks, though, like, you know.
It just captures emotions that...
Do you think, though, in our first episode, we talked about this, like, notion of consumerism, and do you think these games are pro-consumer? Do you think in the sense that, like, when I say pro-consumer, I mean, like, are they good for anybody to just buy them and pick up? I don't believe so.
I'm going to say no, and this is exactly why I'm going to say no. Because when I bought Bloodborne, knowing my past with Demon's Soul, where I bought it and I played the first level, like, 4 or 5 times and could never, like, get past that because I just couldn't put myself through it. So I bought Bloodborne with that, you know, sort of in the back of my head saying, like, you're dropping, you know, $90 on this game and you're going to quit in, like, the first 2 hours, right? And I sat there and I did the first level, the Streets of Yharnam, whatever the hell it was called.
They put that there to make you...
I died, and 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 I was like, I knew it, it's happened, I'm not going to play this game, and I was like, no, fuck that. So I pushed through, and after I got through, like, that initial, I was able to kind of level up a bit and really get into the groove of it. I was like, this game is special. This is something else.
Those games
like,
are all so special, yeah.
If you go on the Bloodborne subreddit, dude, there is a huge group of people who just... like worship this game, like just swear by it, like as if it's something way more than in itself. Like it's, I can't even explain it.
There's something
it's
like
insane.
We were talking before in our previous episode about how games are like the modern day equivalent of cathedrals. Nowadays, people get together to build something beautiful. Only in the case of these kinds of and these kinds of things sometimes. But like the great thing with Bloodborne is that it's charged with so many fundamental themes. Like whether or not you are interested in exactly what the story is about, like I think people are so interested in it because just like with the Soul series, it deals with like fundamental mythological themes. A lot of the symbols you'll find in things like, you know, fucking Hesiod's creation myths from the ancient Greeks. And the fucking Bhagavad Gita and fucking all kinds of shit. You know, you read the Book of Revelations, it sounds kind of like Bloodborne. Are you kidding me? Like, it's just to say, like, there's a lot of, like, universal, like, mythological symbolism in there. It's easy for the imagination to be captivated.
Deeper dive than what you, right?
Yeah, it's not like, I'm going to play some 15 minutes of Fortnite. Like, you know, like, there's some shit there, bro.
Oh, man.
It gets deep into your cockles and captivates you. Like, it's some poetry, right? Like, that's what I love. That's what I look for in my games, buddy. That's what I look for. That swoon. You're like,
right?
Wow, this is beautiful. Like it
really is. Oh man, that's actually. You know what? I really hope that now that we've talked about this, that Sekiro really like.
I hope it blows our shit away.
It's got to hit like at least close to those levels, right?
I'm sure it's gonna be crazy.
I don't
Buddy,
know if we'd call it a disappointment, but
yeah, honestly, like something tells me like with more money, those guys can't possibly do worse than they did before. You know. It's not like, from what I understand, they didn't sacrifice creative leads on the product to Activision.
From what we know,
like,
absolutely.
They have marketing budgets.
I think our deep hope with this one is that From Software isn't the dev that would be like sort of given to that. And exactly what you're saying, sacrifice their, you know, creative vision in order to, you know,
for the moosh. Yeah.
Exactly. But
I doubt it though. Like, and again, just from what people have played so far, like,
yeah,
it's not that way, so we're good. But like,
I mean, hopefully, right? Needless to say, we're stoked about Sekiro.
Yeah. And we're stoked on the whole Souls-like genre generally. I
Right
think they evince more than any other game nowadays on the market that something being enjoyable, something being consumer-friendly in the sense of gameplay mechanics, open to anybody who would buy it, something that is merely fun is not enough to make a good game. And you know, the Souls-like games show us that something sometimes that is not fun, something that busts your balls severely, something that challenges you and forces you to overcome and conquer is a much more satisfying experience.
Just
it is literally a chemical,
cross the line of your
high.
Yeah.
It's like, again, doing something that I won't name here, but it's intense. It's a wonderful time. So, you know, we'll leave you on that note. This has been Mike and Alex again on Gaming Under the Influence at Green Dragon, coming to you on March.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't even remember.
We'll let you know when Sekiro comes out and what our thoughts are, and of course we'll have some gameplay video to share.
We love Souls-like, yeah.
About it.
Talk to you soon. Good night. If not, I'll leave that there for you.
We'll be like another 30 seconds anyway.
Woo!